Welcome to the real world, Mavryk's new RWA broadcast series, where we break down the biggest shifts shaping the future of real world assets. Okay, before we dive in, just a brief disclaimer. This broadcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors. Nothing here is a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any cryptocurrency or digital assets. Cryptocurrency is highly volatile and speculative. You can lose all your invested capital. You are solely responsible for your own investment decisions. Always conduct your own due diligence and consult with a qualified financial professional before acting on any information. By participating, you acknowledge these responsibilities and agree that we are not liable for any outcomes or losses.
Thank you, intern. I think
Thank
you know
you,
what, Alex.
intern.
I think I
Love that
prefer the
enthusiasm.
yeah. Intern's got a deeper voice this week. I think I
Thank
prefer
you.
the lighter voice, intern. What do you think, intern? Funny. Anyway, guys, welcome to the real world. I'm Matthias Geldred, the CMO of Mavryk, and joining us is our leader, Alex Davis, founder and CEO. Alex, how are you today?
I'm just disappointed the intern didn't say, "Take me to your leader." Just,
Yeah, intern,
you
you got to
know,
engage more, man. Like we told you this. You can't be just behind the
yeah.
scenes. You got to talk.
We'll keep his name hidden, but we definitely need to give him a nice emoji for sure.
100%.
No, all good, guys. Excited to be here. It's been a little bit since I've been on one of these. A lot has been happening in the RWA space, and I'm happy to dive into it to see like kind of where everything is going,
Yeah.
especially given the state of the world as if it still exists past next weekend. But
Yeah.
let's dive into the global
We're
market
not here.
overview.
We are here about RWAs and Al. Can you believe this is the craziest thing? The market has dropped significantly. Like we're talking a good 40% almost, right? And RWAs have barely budged. If you can
Oh, they're
look
growing.
here,
It's not
yeah,
even budging. It's not
it's
even barely
like
budging. They're
this was
growing.
56 million on CoinGecko the other day. It's only moved 6 million. RWXYZ has moved pennies as well. What is going on? What is happening? Why are we so strong in this space?
I think for starters, Matt, we really need to differentiate between the growth of RWAs and then the inherent value of each asset on its own accord,
Yeah.
right? Because when we talk about like the crypto markets, they're bleeding and they're kind of they're being purged, right? We've had 99% BS for so many years, and we go through these cycles of you
Yeah.
know oh look, we created ICOs and that was interesting, and we had some projects that were good come out of that, mostly bad.
Yeah.
Oh look, we've got DeFi, extreme innovation, but most projects unfortunately were bad. Then NFTs, then meme coins, and it just like every cycle we get stupider and stupider.
Yeah.
Now with RWAs, we finally have like the mature kids at the table. And
Yeah.
so there's two things that are happening here. One of them is the digitization of assets that already hold value is
Yeah.
growing. So, they're bringing on board more treasuries, more real estate, more bonds, more gold, more stable coins. And so
Yeah.
just it's not that the RWA sector is growing in its market cap per se
Yeah.
of each individual asset, but that there are more assets coming on chain, which add to the global market cap of
Yeah.
this side
And
of the
and
industry.
no, 100% agree. And to add to that, and I think this is really amazing. I was just thinking as you were speaking, if you look at the high that we've had in 2025, right? We hit like a 4 trillion market cap as an industry. And now it's dropped down to the twos, like literally almost by half, right? You can see what RWAs and tokenization doing about adding that stable layer to the industry and what will happen to the industry later, that these fluctuations won't occur. So I think, yeah, like
They will to a
big shout
degree
out to
because
RWA industry.
you'll have like the 2008 financial crises, happen over and over again because that's
Yeah,
the boom and bust rhythm of economies.
yeah,
But what's happening is that for the most part, a lot an increased numerical amount of stable assets are being digitized via tokenization, hence
Yeah.
RWAs. So that just sheer amount tokenized is growing. And then also the inherent nature of these assets is a lot more stable. And so when markets pull back, um, these assets aren't having the same pullback effect on them that crypto is, which is extremely volatile.
Yeah.
Most of it's just, really backed by nothing. So it's that's why we're seeing this shift in trend, not just in total growth of the industry. I mean, we're at $370 billion on chain now,
Yeah.
and that's just total tokenized. That's not necessarily total tokenized and sold. That's just sheer
Yeah.
amount of assets in the real world that are a token that is backed by some form of investment
Yeah.
asset, and so or value. So that's growing consistently, and we're seeing that in a discussion that we're having with banks in terms of like tokenizing invoice factoring, tokenizing commodities,
Yeah.
tokenizing real estate and bonds and insurance-linked securities and all these different things that are coming on chain. And the
Yeah.
craziest thing about it is that we're still seeing most of that growth. If you kind of scroll over the big blue,
Over
yeah,
here.
there we go. It's mostly U.S. Treasury debt, right?
Yeah.
It's not even. It's just the digitization of U.S. government bonds.
But it's
Most of that
logical. It's
growth.
like private credit, commodities, equities, everything. Like it's just the financial. It's a better financial system. That's what blockchain is.
Yeah,
Better financial
but my
system.
point being is that
Everyone
the is
agrees on
that
that.
most of the it's
Yeah.
almost a risk off asset
Yeah.
effectively,
Exactly. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right?
It's exactly right. No, 100%. I think that.
Un-
Well, I mean,
until it
the industry.
implodes.
Well, let's not even put that in the ether. I think let's just keep that out. But no, I think this has been a real light bulb moment for me. I think like I've actually just seen, we're obviously in the industry on the RWA side, so we're big believers in RWAs. But I just had a bit of a light bulb moment of going, oh my god, this is the foundation of stability and the trajectory that we're gonna be on board with, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
And
that's
this is
crazy.
what I keep talking, this is
Yeah,
why I like Larry Fink when he says everything's going to be tokenized. It's I don't think it's a radical or extreme thing to say that everything will be on chain. The same way
yeah,
that, for example, everything went digital, right, from these
yeah,
analog systems over the last several decades. Every form of value will be represented by a token.
yeah,
And then we've seen that happen in different ways. I keep bringing this up in different conversations that, we when Napster came out, we were like, oh yeah, I just downloaded a new MP3.
yeah,
It wasn't an MP3. An MP3 was just a mechanism that you use to get a song, right?
yeah.
You used to get songs via, cassettes, vinyl, cassettes,
Cassettes.
CDs.
Yeah.
I mean, my first album I ever bought was Tragic Kingdom from No Doubt as a
All right.
cassette or the little
There you go. And
cassettes.
he was on cassette.
So
And he was on cassette.
yeah,
There
and
you
they
go.
had a little cassette player in my mom's car. It was like this little like square box in the Mercedes that you shoved it into, and you like got to
Exactly.
listen to music, right? But
No.
the at the end of the day, everything is going to go on chain. Where like even I was discussing with a deal that we haven't announced yet
Yeah.
of doing these commemorative gift boxes for high like celebrities and royal families and whatnot coming for a present that's coming out that we're helping doing the tokenization of.
Yeah.
And a lot of that will be tracked by an NFT. How do you know that this commemorative case and the gift
No.
inside is a real one? And so you can issue an NFT certificate. That doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, this is a liquid asset that's constantly being traded like gold
Mm.
24/7. No, this is a certificate of authenticity that uses the technology of NFTs to track its ownership. And the same thing
Yeah.
will happen. This is why we're seeing this hockey stick like growth with
Yeah.
RWAs, because these analog systems where you have paper shares that get lawyers involved and heavy transaction fees. I mean, Forge, I think they rebranded as Forge or Shares Post.
Yeah.
So they every private equity transaction that they would do was a minimum of $5,000 as a transaction fee or 5%, whichever was
Yeah.
higher. So now you're boiling down that transaction cost to a couple pennies. And so you're just going to see this hockey stick like growth of the RWA sector because this is not this is basically TradFi adopting new technology the same way that the
Yeah,
world adopted,
exactly right.
tech in the
And it's not
2000s.
just TradFi, it's the world. It's actually like
Yeah.
anything that it's, in real estate, soon, guys, you'll be able to buy property on chain with a click of a button.
Well, you can.
Every,
You can. I mean, soon you'll. I mean, there's
yeah.
already a couple of properties in Dubai that have done it. I will reserve my words on the
I
success of
mean
that
more. I
specific
mean more
platform, but
frequently, not the one-offs. I
not.
mean more frequently.
Yeah, but I mean, not the platform, but I was talking about the regime, the
Yes.
regulatory
Yeah.
regime that was used.
Yeah.
And you've got the DLD versus kind of like VARA frameworks. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of the VARA framework. You're going to
Yeah.
see that increasingly because I'm helping write some of the paperwork for licensing
Yes.
applications, but the you're going to start seeing that increasingly skyrocket using that ARVA, the asset reference
Yes.
virtual asset
Yeah.
framework to represent real estate here in Dubai and around the world.
Amazing. And I think this is a perfect segue into our next conversation. I think, guys, if you take anything away from this, is really go and do some research on RWXYZ. Go to CoinGecko, type in real world assets, go to the category. If you click on key statistics, you can see it all there. But more important, look at the market cap fluctuation as an entire industry and look what's happened to tokenized assets projects. It's crazy. Again, a good segue into valuations of certain projects and stuff like that, and what's the industry doing, and what are the top projects actually progressing into right now? Al, can you tell us?
Yeah, this was a slide I didn't know we were going to be showing right now.
Oh, sorry.
So there's okay. Well, if you're looking for unintended leaked alpha, I guess you kind of found a little bit here. So, yeah, the market for RWAs is definitely heating up. Not just in retail demand that's been there for a long time. The middle class has been eaten away by not having access to these investments, but from institutional demand, which is really what drives the flow of the river and where it goes. And
Yeah.
so, if you look at Securitize, they in December they filed for an IPO, so they're raising 250 million, if I'm not mistaken, at a 1.25 billion dollar pre-money valuation, basically.
Yeah.
So that is Securitize is one of the oldest players in the game when it comes to tokenization. They've tokenized about 4 billion in money market funds and treasuries, but it's quite interesting to see that this, like most people still don't even have access. Securitize is B to institution, like it's B2B in
Yeah.
that sense, and or B to high net worth individual, and they're already a unicorn.
Yeah.
They're 25% higher than a unicorn. So that's something that's really interesting to see. And then we had in January, Superstate raised $82.5 million in their
Yeah.
Series B at an $834 million valuation. And I mean, they have an interesting thing. Their founder and CEO is ex-founder of Compound. So that's a
Yeah.
big leader in that sense. But they've only tokenized 1.2 billion. So it begs the question then, what happens when you have these companies or protocols or digital financial ecosystems, right? Economies that have a billion, 2 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion dollars tokenized within them, and you're starting to get, commerce that occurs not only on the chain layer but in the application layer. And so
Yes.
that's kind of what we've developed with equities. Equities is Mavryk's tokenization, like full stack tokenization suite. We're not going to dive into it on this call specifically, but
Yeah.
long story short, Equities does everything from the digitization slash tokenization of the deal, consulting to make sure you're not just slapping lipstick on a pig, right? It has to be a good deal as well. Just because you tokenize it doesn't mean it's a good deal to buy. And then everything, so from like discovery to digitizations, I would call it asset management,
Yep.
then tokenization of the asset as an actual token, and then whether that's just distribution to existing investors or a primary sale as a first time
Yep.
sale to investors. We also built 3 different secondary markets for RWAs, so an on-chain order book DEX, a AMM, and a proactive market maker DEX, which is less volatile than, let's say, Uniswap, more volatile than Curve. It uses an anchoring guide price to make sure that, if it's real estate that's in the AMM, you're not getting wild price swings. And smart contract escrow. So you can actually, do big block orders between buyers and sellers. So that's something that's actually really interesting. Is we're going to see our first deployment of an equities product going live by the end of Q2, and so I'm not going to dive into that one. I'll save that for another day with our partners at Multibank. But we're really proud of that. A lot is happening behind the scenes there. And then, secondly, is that everything tokenized on equities gets integrated into lending and mortgages that we've built with Maven. So when
The
we,
funny thing is, I wanted to just
yeah,
jump in quick out because something that the reason why I shared this slide, and by the way, guys, this is a really good slide to show how professional this side of the industry is. It's that you also players like Canton, you got Plume in there as stuff like that, Injective, that are all going to be in this stage of project at some point. And basically, it's the institutional backing that these guys are getting, right? It's the Ondo. The reason why we showed Ondo and we added Ondo into this from a token point of view is because at some point they are going to move, I'm sure, to an equity model, and it's going to be big, right? The thing that everyone needs to understand, and how you can jump in on this, is that this year there was a interview with one of the seniors of BlackRock, and something that you shared, Al, actually, where this is the year of tokenization and RWAs, right? And the biggest thing is that these players are setting the foundations to lead everyone in the industry in the right path that is actually focusing on real world assets that are stable, and it's moving TradFi infrastructure to the new age of blockchain, right? So I find that the most exciting thing now, where
well,
this really articulates where the industry is going.
Well, it's one of those things that, if you look at it, actually, you're spot on. Securitized
Yeah,
and Superstate have are equity plays in terms of the value that
yeah,
they're raising from investors. Ondo, there was an equity play. There's a token play,
yeah,
and so there is this kind of fine line between whether these companies are issuing tokens or whether they're doing equity. I think that there's a healthy mix of both, depending.
yeah,
But you have to make sure that there are, you know that there is a you have to drive value to your token if you're going to be issuing a token, and that's something that needs to
yeah,
be highlighted for most of these RWA platforms. I inherently disagree with how we're currently classifying RWA tokens
yeah.
when it comes to things like necessarily. I'm not going to call anybody out on this call. I'm going to be nice
Don't
today.
do it.
So when it
I
comes
was
to,
just about to.
I've got a long
Oh
list.
god.
You can look at our competitive map if you want to look at who I might have talked about. But
Exactly.
but there's a lot of players out there who call themselves RWA tokens, but there's no actual native growth that comes from those RWAs, whether that
Yeah,
comes as a form of GDP, like the layer one blockchains, or whether that is an RWA platform, or there needs to be a utility, there needs to be revenue, there needs to be, you need to drive value into it, right? Otherwise it
yeah,
goes into equity, and there is a place to have that split between, okay, this value is driven into equity and this value is driven into the token,
yeah,
and so you can actually responsibly do that. I think that tokens are just going to be the future of equity, anyways. As
yeah,
soon as RWA laws and securities laws will further merge together, but that's a
yeah,
conversation for VARA and the DFSA. But there is, you brought it up. It's a
yeah,
good it's a good comparison between the equity side and the token side. But on news as well, if you kind of get off this screen that I wasn't expecting today.
yeah,
So when it comes to, like, what's going on this week as well, you've got, World Liberty Financial announced an RWA project with Securitize and Dar Global. Dar Global's a Middle Eastern real estate developer, and they're going to be tokenizing the Trump Towers in the Maldives, which is quite interesting.
Oh wow.
World Liberty Financial is finally doing something despite having billions of dollars. So that's going to be interesting to see play out. I hope it does, and it's
Yeah.
it's open for everybody. Um, when it comes to, you know, oh, there's a lot to go into that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna pause on that one. But when it comes to this tokenization coming forward,
Yeah.
oh, that's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say. Securitize. So
Yeah.
Securitize posted $75 million profit for the year 2025.
Yes,
The
they did. I just saw
interesting
that. Yep.
thing, the interesting thing about that is that about 69 million are payments from layer one blockchains as grants, or
This is
I
interesting.
would
Yeah. Do
call
you
it
want to explain that?
coercion.
Yeah.
So basically, Securitize is getting paid by layer ones to deploy their tokenization deal flow onto that
Yeah.
layer one as the infrastructure, which is interesting because layer ones don't have business models. So I wonder how long that can be kept up, especially in a down market. But it's an interesting thing to take into note is that they're not really charging, or at least driving, a lot of their revenue from the tokenization and the primary and secondary fee structures around
Yeah.
tokenization, or the upfront costs around it, but rather payoffs of where to deploy their tokenization deal flow onto. I mean, 69
Yeah.
million out of 75 million is it's like 90% basically. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing to note. I wonder how 2026 will bear for them, given the state of the market. Now, it's one thing for Solana to pay Securitize to put their assets on Solana when Solana's at $200 or
Yeah.
$180, right? But if Solana's at 75, how sustainable is that? So
Yeah.
that's something to keep in mind.
I mean, you've been riffing
You
some
know,
great stuff, and that's why I've been letting you speak, because we always do learn a lot from what you say. You got so much knowledge, so I really appreciate that sharing there, Al. Just on that note, guys, it's really interesting where the industry's going. I think that if you take anything from what we were just discussing, it's also the fact that these aren't the only players that are going into equity rounds. There's many more players coming up, and you really got to keep an eye out for what's going on in the industry in the RWA space. It really is the future of what's going on, and the stabilization of the industry as we know it. Okay, just moving on, guys. We're wrapping things up here. We'd like to try to keep this nice and short. As well, we'd also like to remind you to go and see the RWA Mindshare review. This week, the team reviewed Provenance Blockchain versus Mavryk. We've updated the chart. We've done this as a, if we're not just tech and just a project. We have a team of very smart and very educated and well-versed people, not just in the industry, but in their respective fields that they studied in, and we're really academics as well. So we try to bring out some really nice content and educational stuff that you can go and see again and understand what is RWA and tokenization versus not. There's a lot of players out there, as Alex said, that do call themselves RWA, but we want to, in an unbiased way, just kind of identify what they actually do. So we give a thorough analysis on all factors, from are they decentralized, do they have primary, secondary markets, do they have any dexes, are they layer one, do they provide staking, all these kind of things that are important for an RWA project to have. So we really highlight that. Please go and check it out. That's on our Twitter channel, and I believe
I
it'll
have to
be
say that's been growing like crazy, and it's a little
awesome,
bit.
right? How cool is it? It's really detailed now, like to the point where we got a message from someone saying that thank you for what you're doing with the RWA Mindshare, because we're using it for our strategy. How cool is
Oh
that?
wow, that is
Yeah,
pretty cool. I'm really
yeah,
happy that, like, I would say, like, our market research is being
utilized.
utilized, because
Yeah,
there were times where people came to us with the marketing offers from some of the big marketing crypto companies out there, and they're
yeah.
like, we're gonna publish an RWA paper in your name, and I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna have AI write it, and it's nothing gonna really come out of it, but, like, it's
I
it,
would
it was one hundred
just
fifty
add to
thousand
that. I would say
dollars.
it's very challenging. Like anyone that comes
It
in and says
is.
that kind of stuff, it's unless you're living and breathing a day to day. Like I said in my very first real world podcast with Sam, when I first joined, it was like everyone was speaking to me in Chinese. I maybe understood about 1% or 2% what was going on. Now I'm understanding about 60%. Now, the team obviously understanding at a much higher rate than I am, but like this space, it's quite hard to comprehend. There's a lot of aspects, and I think what's really important, what Alex mentioned just before when we were discussing securitize and stuff like that. These other projects, they're just platforms that are tokenizing and providing the buying and selling of
I
tokenized
mean,
assets, right? It's
I
not a
mean, there's
full
only five
ecosystem.
companies. Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, what we've built at
Yeah,
Maverick is the full ecosystem, and
yes,
that is coming soon. We've got a bridge and a DEX, an
yeah,
EVM bridge and a DEX coming, and then obviously when the multi-bank RWA platform MB.io, as they've just
yes,
rebranded, platform comes out, you'll see the a deployment of our
yeah,
equities tech stack, and then Maven will launch, which will afford people the ability to take loans instantly against those assets. But what I think is more interesting is that I did a RWA masterclass for a private company, multi-billion-dollar company last week.
yeah,
And it was a 2 hour masterclass on RWAs, and it like blew people's minds of where the industry is going. But what really is actually kind of wild is there's probably 7 companies in the world who really know what they're doing when it comes to tokenization.
yeah.
And I've seen
I would
some
agree.
absolute garbage and claims from others. And so, and it's not that like, look, I'll give anybody A for effort. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's when they get things wrong is when I start to criticize. So it's
Shout out to our marketing team.
this
Good
is
job, guys.
yeah. Shout out to our core team. I'm actually really proud of them for everything they've been doing.
Awesome.
As we've discussed, the only people I'm disappointed with sometimes are third parties. But and it's no what I do think is very interesting is 2026 is gearing up to be the year
Yes.
of the RWA. You have fine Securitize filed an ICO in December of 25. That's effectively 2026.
Yeah.
It's I don't believe it's live yet either. So there we go. Superstate just raised an $82 million round. Other tokenization companies, even just in Dubai, are in the middle of their funding rounds as well.
Yep.
They're building out tech. The Dubai Land Department announced that they're going to have secondary markets come out for the
Yep.
9 assets that have been tokenized using their framework. And I mean, it needs to. I mean, I'm happy to consult them on working with Vara on that. But it's
Not
there's
free.
this is growing. You've got
Yeah.
Mika, you've got Mas, you've got the Arva and Vara token regulations that are coming out. When the United States comes out with a new RWA securities
Yeah.
framework, this entire market
This
is
is going to
gonna
be a
like
different. Yeah, it's a different ball game.
that's
It's
it, different ball game. So
yeah. So on that note, guys, just to wrap things up, we are going to give you a bit of an update of what's going on with Maverick and all the projects around it. The wallet, guys, if you haven't updated it yet, please go and update it in the Chrome store or basically manage your extensions. You just go into developer mode and then you can just click update and everything just updates nicely. But it's a complete rebuild of the user experience. So please go and do that if you have the wallet. In development is our RWA infrastructure, so the RWA order book factory, the RWA that basically deploys compliant jurisdiction-specific order books for different asset classes and regulatory regimes. The RWA order book itself,
well,
matching engine for institutional real estate trades, limit orders, visible depth, and minimal slippage. And then the launch pad updates that'll be coming soon. That's on that. In
well,
audit right
I
now.
can't wait to actually give like
Yeah.
a full review of the CRM that's being
Oh,
built right
don't talk
now.
about that. That's real alpha. You can't talk about that. Sam will
Okay,
kill you.
well, Sam may kill me. Okay, I won't talk about it, but I can't wait to show it off. But on while we actually just kind of blew through the wallet upgrade,
Yeah.
2 new wallets are coming to Maverick soon, and
Okay.
so that's we haven't their integrations are nearly complete, as well as a cold storage hardware wallet as well. So we'll leave you guys hanging into which those are, but that's also
And we'll give
further integrations coming along.
exactly. We've got a lot of updates, guys. The team are working relentlessly. We are fully committed to making this 1000% success. We're really excited about everything that's going on. So, on that note, Al, thank you so much for joining me. It's been absolutely amazing. I know that you're busy. I know that we're all busy right now, but we do have to make time to, engage with the community. Thank you. Shout out to the community for always supporting us. Thank you for being there from the start. Thank you for being here now. and you'll be very happy in the months to come when we're up and running and there's something to really do in the RWA space with us. So make sure that you follow us on Twitter as well. If you didn't see, it's Mavryk Network. That's the same that goes for Twitter and also Telegram. So on that note, Alex, thank you so much. Everyone, stay safe and have a good day. See ya.
Yeah, I do have, Matt, an intern. I do have a request now
What's
because
that?
the way that it's framed on my screen. So I've got Sam with his like rooster mustache, like poking out of the side
What?
of the screen, and then now it's just using my real photo with the caricatures of you guys. Like we need to do team caricatures of everybody,
And
including
they're
myself,
cool, right?
please.
But the idea
They are
was,
pretty
so can
cool.
I just say on that? The idea was that it was the real world. So it was a cartoon, a semi-cartoon, and then you're the real world.
Are you saying Sam needs a cartoon for improvement? You
I did
guys,
not say that. You said that. I didn't say that.
this is just a
You
joke.
said that.
It was a
Sam, I
line.
didn't say
It
that.
was a line. No, no, no. It was a line
Sam, I didn't say
from the
that.
show The Ranch. When
Bye.
Ashton Kutcher
Bye.
asked for hot sauce, and he's like, "Does my steak need improvement?" So
All right. Thanks,
yeah.
Al. All right. See you
Thank you
soon.
everyone for coming. See you next
Bye.
week.